Picture running the most powerful empire on Earth while waking before the sun and sleeping only a few hours a night. That was the daily life of one Roman emperor. His real secret was not gold or armies. It was a short list of morning habits he scribbled to himself by candlelight. This video looks at where those habits came from and why people still copy them almost 2,000 years later. And the final habit on this list is the one almost everyone copies wrong. So who was this man? His name was Marcus Aurelius, and he ruled Rome from the year 161 to 180. He had armies to command and an enormous empire to hold together. Yet every single morning, before any of that began, he did something strange for a king. He talked to himself, not out loud for others to hear. He spoke inside his own head, and sometimes he wrote the words down. What could an emperor possibly need to tell himself at sunrise? His first reminder was almost dark. He warned himself that the day ahead would be full of difficult people. He expected to meet folks who were rude and ungrateful. Most people start the morning hoping everything goes well. Marcus did the opposite. He prepared for the worst kind of day on purpose. Why would anyone want to start like that? Because it worked. When you expect people to annoy you, their bad behavior stops catching you off guard. You stay calm because nothing surprises you. Marcus used this trick to protect his temper. By the time he walked out of his room, he had already made peace with the idea that the day might be hard. His anger had nowhere to grab on. There was a second habit, and it is the one most people online get obsessed with. Marcus forced himself out of bed early, even when he did not feel like it. In his private notes, he wrote about lying under warm blankets and wanting to stay there. Then he scolded himself. He asked why he was even made. Was he born just to feel cozy, or was he born to do something useful with the day? He looked at the natural world for his answer. Bees leave the hive at dawn. Ants drag their heavy loads around without a single complaint. Marcus decided that a human who hides under the covers is acting against his own nature, so he stood up. He got moving because he believed sleeping in was a small way of giving up before the day had even started. That one stubborn thought got him on his feet most mornings. Here is where it gets harder. Marcus did not just wake early. He trained himself to need very little. The Stoics, the group of thinkers he followed, believed in choosing discomfort on purpose. They would eat plain food when they could easily afford a feast. They would wear thin clothes in the cold. Some even slept on the hard floor instead of a soft bed. Marcus practiced this kind of training for most of his life. Does that sound a little extreme to you? There was a reason behind it. By facing small hardships when he chose to, Marcus made sure that real hardship could never break him. A man who can sleep on the floor is not afraid of losing his fancy bed. A man who can eat plain bread does not panic at the thought of missing a feast. Comfort can make people soft and fearful. Marcus feared that softness more than he feared the cold, so he kept testing himself. Now think about those private notes again. Marcus wrote them in a journal that survives today. People call it meditations, but here is the part that shocks readers. He never wrote it for the public. He had no plan to publish a book. He was not trying to teach anyone or sound wise. He was writing messages to himself, little reminders to stay steady when life got loud. That is exactly why the journal feels so honest. There is no showing off in it. He circles back to the same lessons again and again, the way you might remind yourself to stop checking your phone so much. An emperor with all the power in the world still had to coach himself every morning just to act like a decent person. That single fact has kept readers hooked for centuries. There is one more thing worth knowing about when he wrote all this. Marcus did not write his calm thoughts from a peaceful palace garden. He wrote much of meditations inside army tents on the cold northern border, in the middle of long and brutal wars. A deadly plague was sweeping through his empire at the same time. Several of his own children died young. A general he trusted even turned against him and tried to take his throne. So when he reminded himself to expect hardship and stay calm, he was not speaking from comfort. He was speaking from the middle of real loss. Why does any of this matter to you? Sitting here so many centuries later, because the problems have barely changed. You still wake up to annoying people, hard tasks, and a warm bed that begs you to stay. Marcus had no phone and no overflowing inbox, but he fought the same fight you face every single morning. The pull toward comfort, the urge to skip the hard thing. The temptation to let other people decide your mood for you. Marcus had another habit that fits right into this. Whenever someone wronged him, he refused to waste hours plotting revenge or stewing in anger. He reminded himself of a single sharp idea that the best revenge is to simply not become like the person who hurt you. If a cruel man pushed him to act cruel in return, then the cruel man had already won by dragging him down to that level. So Marcus chose to stay decent on purpose, and he treated that choice as its own kind of victory. That one thought saved him from the endless grudges that would have eaten away at his focus and his peace. There was also a habit he used to shrink his problems down to size. When stress piled up, he would picture himself rising high above the earth, looking down at how small his city, his worries, and even his whole life truly were against the vastness of time. From up there, the argument that ruined his morning looked tiny, the insult that stung looked almost silly. This wide view did not make him cold or careless about his duties. It helped him release the little things and save his energy for what actually mattered. You can borrow that same trick today, zooming out whenever a small problem starts to feel far bigger than it really is. So what is the habit almost everyone gets wrong? People copy the early wake-up. They copy the cold showers and the plain meals and post about it online, but they miss the real point. For Marcus, none of those habits were the goal. They were only practice for the one thing he believed he could truly control, which was his own mind. The cold was never really about the cold. It was about proving to himself that he could stay steady when life felt uncomfortable. The early start was never about the clock. It was about choosing duty over comfort while no one was watching. His whole routine trained a single muscle, the muscle that decides how you react to whatever the day throws at you. He practiced all of it knowing he would die one day, and knowing the empire he ran would crumble and forget his name. He wrote his reminders anyway, not to be remembered, just to be a slightly better man before the sun.